If you've been looking at the new Char-Griller Gravity 980 and you're wondering, should I run briquettes or should I run lump charcoal? This is the video for you. Hey guys, I am Steve, the Cookout Coach. We're here to help you take your barbecue to the next level no matter what you need. Today we're going to be talking about are these cookers, the Char-Griller Gravity 980 cookers, and what fuel you should use in them. So from the time I got these cookers in my hands, I've been getting questions from folks. Can I use lump in them? Can I use briquettes in them? What am I supposed to use in them? Today we're going to walk through what you can use, how it acts, and at the end I'm going to tell you what my personal preference is for running in these Char-Griller Gravity 980s. Let's start off with what the manual says about these cookers. The manual tells us that you can use either briquettes or lump charcoal. You're covered no matter what you want to use. And generally, the hoppers in these things will hold somewhere around 15 pounds of briquettes or 7 pounds of lump. And in my personal experience, I've seen those estimates to be spot on. I've personally been doing a lot of cooking with these cookers, specifically in competition barbecue where precision is the name of the game. And actually, we just took our first ever Grand Championship with these cookers. I've competed with both briquettes and lump, so here we go. Let's talk about what the main differences are when it comes to these two fuel sources in the Char-Griller Gravity 980. While we talk about this, we're just gonna light this cooker off with lump charcoal and this cooker off with briquette coal. You're gonna see what happens real time, and I'll be able to better explain to you my observations. So let's go. As we're lighting these off, just the way the instructions in the manual tell us to do, filling the hopper with charcoal, lighting that charcoal with the fire starter in the bottom, let me just go ahead and tell you that I enjoy both briquettes and lump charcoal for different reasons at different times with different cookers when I want to do different things. They've both got their purpose. They both got distinct aromas too. For instance, to me, lump charcoal, I like it better in applications like smoking because it is just carbonized wood. It's got none of the other fillers or starches to bind them together, and therefore it smells like wood smoke to me. Now briquettes I also love too. It's got an old school nostalgia feel to me. It's got that classic charcoal grill burger smell. It's hard for me to pick a favorite. I'll bounce back and forth, but generally, as a rule of thumb, I like lump charcoal when I can get away with it for smoking, and I like briquettes for grilling. We're gonna put both of these cookers at 300 degrees and let them go. And basically, what we're doing is we've got a fire in the bottom of that hopper. That fan is now going to blow on it to bring it up to temperature, and basically we've created a giant charcoal chimney. The difference is, being a gravity cooker, as the embers burn out the bottom, gravity will pull more fuel into the fire and sustain it for our desired temperature. Now at the 1 minute mark, after we have closed our doors down and set our temperature, these are the differences. Here's what the charcoal briquette cooker looks like, and here's what the lump charcoal cooker looks like. Now as you can see there, they're both putting off a fair amount of ignition smoke, but the briquettes are putting off more ignition smoke. No big deal. We literally just lit these off. You're gonna expect that to happen. As we get 10 minutes out, both of these cookers have reported hitting 300 degrees, which is fantastic. However, you'll see that the briquette smoker is still rolling a lot more smoke than the lump charcoal smoker is. Now again, this is sort of because of that chimney effect, right? We've got to temperature, but we've still supplied enough oxygen that we're still lighting off more briquettes. So we are burning those starches that are binding these natural briquettes. This isn't the worst thing in the world. This isn't a huge issue. This is just a part of how briquettes work. You need to know you've got to give them plenty of time to light off. Now on the other hand, if we check out our lump charcoal smoker, because of the fuel that it is, lump just naturally has less ignition smoke because there's no binders, right? It's just carbonized wood. It's pretty much clean at the 10-minute mark. I'll take this second to just let you know some of my findings with certain fuel sources. Lump charcoal is going to burn a lot quicker than your briquette charcoal will. This is just sort of a known fact. We've actually tested this in other videos on the channel. So for me to let you know just right off the bat, I've cooked for 10 plus hours at 300 degrees with lump charcoal in these cookers. So I wanted to say that to let you know that if you're trying to base a decision based on what fuel source you're going to need to cook for a long time, I wouldn't worry about it. They both go forever in these cookers. I say that as someone who once cooked with briquettes mainly because I had to cook with briquettes in my old competition cooker to avoid having to refuel during the cook. Let's check back in. At the half an hour mark, we'll see that our briquette smoker is still sort of smoking in a little bit of an ignition smoky way. I opened the cooking chamber to check on it. It's nothing super egregious, but it is there. In the meanwhile, the lump smoker just rolls on. You wouldn't even know it was on if you didn't put your hand on it. Now, if you've been for the channel for a while, you know that I always tell people to give your smokers an hour to come up to temperature. So for this to be putting off a little bit of ignition smoke with briquettes at the half an hour mark, to me, that's not a big deal. Always give yourself plenty of time for your smokers to come up to temperature. I will note that at this point, there is a very distinct smell difference between these two fuels. The hickory lump charcoal that I'm using in this smoker just smells like wood. It's part of the reason that I use the B&B hickory lump. I love the way it smells. It smells like I'm literally burning hickory. Now, on the other hand, the Blues Hog briquettes that are in this cooker smell like that old school burger, that old school traditional charcoal grill, and I love that smell too. If I was going to cook a steak, this is the cooker it would go on, regardless of that ignition smoke. And to check back in at the 50-minute mark, the briquette smoker has now cleared of ignition smoke. It is a clean smoker under the hour mark, which is perfectly okay in my book and basically my baseline. So within the hour, both smokers are burning clean. This smoker burned clean from about 10 minutes going forward. This smoker took about 15 minutes to get clean with the briquettes. It's basically how it would work if you had two charcoal chimneys, one of lump charcoal, one of charcoal briquettes. This one would smoke more and smoke longer until it got clean. But once it gets clean, everything is good to go. You can now begin cooking, and you can expect charcoal briquettes to be a more steady line temperature, whereas lump charcoal may do a little bit of this. However, I do want to add in here cooking comps on these things. Where I use lump charcoal, the Gravity 980 does a great job adjusting the fan speed to hold them in temps. So I did say I would tell you which one I preferred, and I do prefer running lump charcoal in this Gravity 980. Because, like I said, due to its insulated nature, you've got 10 plus hours cook at 300 plus degrees with lump charcoal. I have had no problems with running out of fuel. I just really like, if I'm going to smoke, to have more of that woody smoke smell, and I like it to be as clean as possible so I can be very particular with what wood smokes I add to it. And I add them all in the ash pan of the 980. We're going to do another video later on about adding it in the ash pan versus adding it in the hopper. But with the lump charcoal, just by the nature of being lump, burning cleaner, it puts the ball more in my court to make the specific aromas produced out of this cooker exactly what I want them to be. So for me in the Gravity 980, it's going to be lump charcoal. For you, it could be briquettes, and that's no problem. I've literally ran both in competition. And if you're wondering about the difference in burn times usually from briquettes and lump charcoal, hey, meet me over here, and let's talk about it.